let's listen again for the and digest what Mr. Delbert Paris said when he was called upon to make a statement as to the reasons why he voted that way in Parliament. Listen and listen well. Blue, blue.
We have a good enough relationship. You can just show me. Well, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for having me on. Yesterday was an interesting day. We went to Parliament yesterday, and we, as everybody knows, we had to discuss the three bills. Obviously, they were discussed separately as they're three. While they're under the same umbrella of electoral reform, they're three separate bills. The first one that was dealt with was the Registration of Electors Act. The Registration of Electors Act. And for the people who have been who were following yesterday live, and the people who have taken time to look at the presentation, particularly mine, you would have seen that we took the time to advocate very strongly and very forcefully on a number of the vexing issues that were in the bill that we felt, or that were not in the bill, that we felt should have been included. Issues of one of the big ticket ones, the residency. Speaking to the fact that if residency is not a key eligibility criteria, it risks diluting the votes of citizens who live in Dominica and who have to bear the consequences after selecting representatives. It means that people from outside can come inside and sway the votes of people who live here and have to deal with the consequences. And I would encourage people to go and look at that presentation. A lot of work was put into it, advocating on those issues. Matt, I would go so far as to tell you that we during the special parliamentary committee meetings that we had, we advocated very strongly on that as well, and we made recommendations. I reiterated those recommendations yesterday during some of those recommendations yesterday during my presentation, on the fact that whether we're doing re-registration or whether we're doing reconfirmation, residency has to be a key feature in the eligibility criteria. You have to prove that you have a stake in the game. So we dealt with that, I think, very adequately and very forcefully in the presentation, and during the debate yesterday. For those of you who were watching, there was an attempt to try to silence the voice of the people. If you look at the time span, man, they tried to rush the bills through. So much so that members on the other side were reluctant. They didn't even put forward an argument. They didn't even debate. Many of them just tried to rush the thing through. But man, we have to look at the rest of the bill. And at this point, I would like to say congratulations to the people who stood up yesterday peacefully, but making the point that they continue to stand for the right to participate in free and fair elections in their country as citizens, as residents. And that is because of that type of advocacy and that type of resolute stand by the people who were there yesterday and the people who have been there for years, that we ended up in Parliament yesterday discussing electoral reform in the first place. So let's talk about the Registration of Electors Act and the things in there that we have been saying yes to for a long time as individuals, as opposition forces, as a party. Remember, Matt, we have been advocating. Remember, there was a time when the issue of identification in the electoral process was only going to be a national ID card.
True.
It's through the type of advocacy that we saw yesterday and in years gone by that now the government have moved from that to a voter identification card. Yes, they didn't give us fingerprints, but they gave us the photo ID. The photo ID specifically for voting. That is something that we said yes to. We have been saying yes to that as a party, as a country, as people, as advocates for years, and that is in there. We have the strengthening of the rules and responsibilities of the chief registering officer, giving him or her now the capacity and enforcing it in law that they have the ability to remove names of people who no longer meet the eligibility criteria to be on that list. That is something that we advocated for a very, very long time, and that is in there. Look at the role that the Electoral Commission is now going to play in terms of setting up the regulations and enforcing the regulations with regards to the registration of electors, be it in confirmation, be it in re-registration. That is something that wasn't always there. That is a feature that has been strengthened based on the type of advocacy that we did in the past. Let's look at the issue of the technology-enabled system. That is a move in the right direction. That is something that not just yesterday, we have been saying yes to these items which are moves in a positive direction for the advancement and the reform of our electoral system for a very long time. So Matt, and the list can go on. There are a number of things in there that the only reason they ended up in there is because of the type of advocacy that we have been continuously doing over and over and over in public, in private, through recommendations. I mean, look at the correspondence that the United Workers' Party has sent to the Prime Minister in recent times, where it talked about a number of vexing issues, right? But there are issues in there that is a move in the right direction. And Matt, here's the thing. Can we afford to lose all of these aspects in a bill that is going to be passed? Can we afford to lose all those aspects? Can we afford to be seen as rejecting all of the same things and playing into the hands of a rogue administration, suggesting that the same things that we advocated for that now is represented in the provision, that we don't want that? I don't think so.
But the statement by Mr. Blackmore that you supported the bill, categorically is basically false altogether. You supported parts of it.
I don't know you for somebody that always takes Mr. Blackmore at everything that he says, and you should be careful with that, man. You should be careful of running with disingenuous statements that Mr. Blackmore might try to give you the impression, because we were not there for all of the conclusions of all three bills, and they were not accepted as a block. There were three separate bills, and on that first bill, whatever disingenuous ploy was made to ensure that there's a division and people have to say yes or no, and boxing people into a yes or no answer. However that is played out in the public now, we have to make sure that we have clarity on the issue and understand there are things in the bill that works in our favor that we can continue to use and that we can continue to advocate for. And we understand the process of legislation. While we can accept the things that we always advocated and always said yes to as a public, as advocates, as opposition forces, we continue to stand for the things that will continue to strengthen our electoral process. We continue to stand for the things that will block the loopholes that stand to compromise and dilute the authenticity of our electoral process. So two separate things can be true at the same time, and it does not in any way dilute or go against what we have been advocating for and standing for the same time. Now, Matt, here's what we have to focus on. What is our approach going forward? What is the new approach that we're going to take? Because, Matt, insanity is defined as trying to do the same things over and over and over and expecting a different result. Our approach now, going forward, is to use the advantages that we have. Go through the bill, look at the legislation, read through the regulations, and ensure that we are holding not just the administration, but the Electoral Commission accountable for enforcing all of those good things that is in the bill. Ensuring that when an election is called, be it snap or whatever the case is, we are ensuring that those good things that are in the bill that we have been saying yes to for a very long time, they are enforced and they are upheld. Ensuring that names that need to be removed from the list are removed, including on the issues based on residency, because that is in the bill, and holding their feet to the fire, making sure that the administration and particularly the Electoral Commission does the work that it's supposed to do on behalf of the people. And Matt, we can do that and should do that while we continue to stand for the rest of the vexing issues and continue to advocate and require and demand the rest accommodation for the rest of the vexing issues that are in the bill.
So you're standing with what happened with the, of course, some of the patriots that stood yesterday. You're standing with them at this point.
Matt, I am always proud to be associated and to stand with patriots. I resolutely continue to stand, continue to identify, continue to support and emphasize with patriots. That is the reason why we were in Parliament yesterday. That is how we got there, because patriots over the years have continued to stand and demand, and that is what we need to continue to do. And we must not fall for the trap of the administration or the police. When patriots decide to stand peacefully, and it is turned into an uncomfortable, unfair, abusive situation, and blame patriots for that. People across the world have the right to stand and demand and advocate for the things that they want. It's government for the people, of the people, by the people. And the way that people continue to demonstrate that is by continuing to stand. So, of course, without a shadow of a doubt.
Somebody's asking me to ask you at this point in time, how was the vote done on the bills yesterday? Secret ballots or show of hands? And the second question, how did you vote, yes or no? Somebody's asking me to ask Mr. Paris. Yes. Explain.
No, but I just spent half an hour.
I suspect the person may have tuned in very late. Yes.
I just said I've spent half an hour. But man, so it's three separate bills. Usually the ayes have it, but on the first bill, they ask for division, and what a division means is that they're boxing you into a yes or no situation or a spin or whatever the case is.
Okay.
And individually, everybody has to respond.
All right. Okay, Mr. Paris, any final comments before you go?
Yes, Matt, of course. Again, I continue to stand with the patriots of Dominica. We continue to stand for the causes that will continue to give us free and fair elections in our country, ensuring that the voice of the people who have to live with the consequences of selecting representatives are never diluted. But also, Matt, what we have is leanings towards things that we can use in the improvement of our electoral system. Matt, we have to remember that this is not an overnight fight. It has been a long fight. It has been years of advocacy, and it will continue to be a long fight. Matt, we will continue to request and agitate for the amendments that will continue to strengthen our electoral process.
So somebody suggesting that you had a choice of maybe abstaining yesterday. What is your response to that?
Yes, Matt, we had the chance of walking out as well. We had the chance of not going to Parliament yesterday. We had all of those options. But like I explained to you in the initial thing, Matt, there are things that we have been saying yes to for years. The voter ID cards, the strengthening of the electoral system, the enforcement and the giving buoyancy and more teeth to our electoral commission, ensuring that our chief registering officer has more powers to remove and add names. And Matt, we have to understand, if we've been following the process for a while, we have to understand that amendments are continuously made to the bill. So while we take what is good, we can still stand and advocate for the rest of the things that we need. And Matt, I don't want us to lose sight and get distracted with and start majoring in minors as to what we've done and what we have to do. We must focus on looking forward and how we would start using and utilizing new leadership approaches to try and achieve the things that we want in the protection of our people and our country.
Just a final question to you, and somebody's trying to confirm. Can you confirm, sir, whether the Prime Minister was in Parliament yesterday? Was he in Parliament?
No, he was not there. The speaker made an apology for him, saying that he had requested leave to be absent yesterday.
All right, so confirmation that the bill under his name and he was not in Parliament. Thank you very much, sir.
But not. I want people to remember that we were there.
Yes.
And I want people to go and take the time and look at the presentation. Look at the presentations and the advocacy that has been happening and advocacy that will continue to happen. Because this is serious business. We have things that we can use now, but there's advocacy. This is going to be a long fight. It is not over. I had a caller this morning saying that it is not over. We have to continue to employ and promote new approaches to advocacy. And Matt, we can walk and chew gum. We can do 2 and 3 and 4 separate things at the same time. Every one of us has a different responsibility in this fight, and we must continue to support each other. We must continue to employ new leadership approach. We must continue to educate our people and ensure that when we bring people out there, clarity on issues, and give our people the clarity that they continuously need in this fight that we have been in for a long time. And not as leaders, as legislators, as politicians, we have to ensure that we are not just using emotion to address issues of advocacy. We have to be using intelligence, we have to use tact, and we have to make sure that whatever we do works in the best interest of the people that we represent.
Mr. Delbert Paris, Deputy Political Leader of the United Workers' Party. Thank you, sir. Thank you.